When you're naming your variables, when you come from sheets to name your variables, the problem is that it's going to show whatever you had for the wording in your survey. So, for example, our stress questions that start right here, these are stress questions. This is what's going to show as the name of the variable. And we don't want that to be the name of a variable for analysis purposes. You can make it a label in Jamovi or make it a description. And so we'll copy those in so that you have the full context of your variables, but you want to actually just name it something really simple. So since this is a stress scale, you can just call it stress 1 for this one. And then you don't want to change any of this because it's going to overwrite anything that you do unless in your data set, unless you actually have, unless you have this disconnected. So like I have this unlinked right now. So in informed consent, this is an easy one. I'm going to call it informed consent, but all of these, I'm going to say informed consent raw. So this is the raw data or the original response, because I'm going to have you create new columns for your variables so that you're not editing the existing data. It's just easier to look at. And we still have our absolutely clean data that we're not going to mess with at all. But I want you to use that raw as a label here. So I'm going to say informed consent raw, and I'm just going to call it IC, and I'll say underscore raw. Oops. There we go. This, are you at least 18 years old? You just want really simple, straightforward names without spaces. I'm going to call this eligible age, and then I'm going to say underscore raw. The underscore just makes it so there's no spaces. It's just easier to work with. This one will be units underscore raw. So I'm just going through and giving these names. Some of you have, let me get the sex raw. Some of you have gender or other variables where you have like an other option. And so this is gender. So I'll call this gender underscore raw. And then this is an other option. So I would call this like gender other or something on there. And I have a separate video on how to evaluate when you have other as an option. But you're just going to go through and give all of these names. Make them as short as possible, but where you can recognize what they are. There's nothing worse than working with a data set. Well, I mean, there's things that are worse, but it's bad to just have these variable names that you have to look up every time you're looking at them. And so it's helpful to have a meaningful name. When you get to your Likert type scales, so when you have multiple items and you're combining them into one variable. So this is the first one right here. In the last month, how often have you felt that you were unable to control the important things in your life? This is the first stress question. So I'm going to have you do the stress raw underscore 1. Or actually, let's do stress underscore raw 1. Whatever you want to do. You don't have to do it this way. The benefit of having the number at the end is then I can carry this over, and it's not like it saves you that much time, but I can just do this, carry these names over here and just drag that over once it becomes a little black cross, and it just automatically fills those in. So 1, 2, 3. You can also just type it in, obviously. Same thing here. So this is where the depression scale starts. I might call this dep raw, just so it's not super long. Dep raw underscore 1. And I could just type it again. I don't have to drag and drop. There's 10 of them, so it becomes a little bit more. So again, you can just hover, click on that black cross, pull over, and it goes to there. So that's naming your variables. And then in the next video, I'm just going to have you start transforming your variables. One last thing that I like to do once I've renamed them is you can see there's like all this extra space here, and I could do this like that, right? But if you just click here in that little empty square between the A and the 1, so I'm just clicking right there, And then you can just hover over and double click any of these lines. So it could be any of these, and you can see how there's the black line there with the arrows. If you double click on it, it's going to automatically shrink the size of the columns to fit the actual content in there. So this one, I didn't change the name yet because I was just demonstrating how to change them. So I'll do it again once I fix this, but it's going to be as wide as your question. So once you're done renaming your variables, it's nice to have them a little bit shorter to work with.